Okay, we're sitting backstage at the Cisco Ottawa Bluesfest with Tegan and Sara, who used to be, way back when, I have a CD in my pocket to prove it, be called Sara and Tegan, and the question becomes, with twin sisters in a band, when one girl's name is first, and then you switch to the other girl's name being first, how does the band survive that decision-making process?
We managed 13 years of survival after that name change, so I feel like it clearly wasn't a big thorn. I am Sara, so I feel like I'm happy to report that, in fact, I felt some of the weight and responsibility was taken off my shoulders. And putting Tegan first, in some ways, implied that she was stronger, better, more efficient, writing better material. I was always the underdog, and I was the weaker one, and I wanted to be second, so I could. The lowered expectations meant that I could sneak up and really show off what I had, and there wasn't as much limelight on me.
You know, the songs are wonderful and beautiful, but I still remember even that first time seeing you, just absolutely adoring that back and forth thing that you guys get into.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you ever saw the McGarrigle sisters play live. I mean, they had a similar kind of thing to it. Are you going on the piano now? No, I'm going on the guitar now. You do the piano. Is this just a natural thing for you guys? Do you have to work on it, or it just happens different every night?
It happens different every other night. You know, like sometimes it works, sometimes it's awkward, sometimes we're not in the right mood for it. So, you know, I'll like say something and sense right away that it's not going over with Sara and to cool it, or she'll sense that with me. I think it was always just a natural thing that happened. I want to believe that. I don't ever remember consciously saying we were going to have a banter part of our show. So we're kind of sticking to that story that it really just came up naturally. My recollection of the olden times when we started playing, like almost 15 years ago now, was that we had to fill time. You know, back then we had, no guitar techs. So we had to tune our guitars between songs. We also had to share instruments because we couldn't afford to fly with more than like a guitar or two. So
It's also very awkward, to be in front of an audience.
We were opening a lot, so we wanted to warm the audience up and talk to them. Like, I think I was just...
And self-soothing, probably, for the two of us, to talk to one another and check in. If the audience wasn't on our side, at least we were with each other and we could talk about what was happening.
And when people aren't listening, we would make jokes about the audience to each other. So some people would pick up on it and some people wouldn't, which just created camaraderie with the audience. So it all happened pretty naturally. I think now, when we play a show and we don't talk, it feels very awkward for us, and we're challenged by our audience from time to time on it. Like, we talk less now, we've changed, we're more professional. But I think that's just as the crowds grow, you become less able to connect en masse. Like, it depends on the type of audience, but once you hit 3, 4, 5,000 people, if they're not in the right state of mind, like they're in a club or a giant venue and they're talking, you can't be like, and then this one time my mom said blah, blah, blah. Like, they're just like, they'll just talk right over you, and we become very self-conscious on stage, which is obviously where this talking comes from. So it's still part of the show, though. It's still there.
Oh wait, I'll be the judge of that. Okay, here's one I think that you maybe will know, but you might not, but it's okay, it's really easy to find.
The evolution of the songs, I mean, again, if we go back to the early stuff, very kind of folk-oriented, just the two of your guitars. The way it's evolved into this kind of really lovely pop music that you guys have created. First part is, would you have foreseen that your music would have evolved at all in this way when you first started making music? And what do you think have been the points along the way that have directed your music to where it's gone?
Before we were even recording ourselves, or Tegan and Sara, or Sara and Tegan, or whatever, we were actually a punk band. I mean, and that was indicative of what we were listening to at that time and how we saw ourselves. Yeah, and also like what was comfortable from an instrumentation point of view. Like, we were used to listening to like loud electric guitars and drums, and then as we sort of started to cool our jets a little bit after that, like high school and whatever, it was like, oh well, we're songwriters, so we can really strip this back and play more acoustically. And I think we always knew what we were by trade was songwriters, and it wasn't necessarily the most important thing. We didn't want to ever feel limited. We didn't ever feel like it was going to be such a big departure for us to use like keyboards or electric guitars, or we never really stressed about it too much. And I think that makes us very, very lucky. It's also what makes it very difficult to categorize us, and it's also what becomes very challenging when we feel that we've been sort of weighed down by these adjectives to describe our music that we sometimes felt we've grown out of 10 years ago, and we think to ourselves, oh God, like, are we really still dragging this these monikers around or whatever, and so there's pros and cons to the whole thing, but I think in the end it just has allowed Tegan and I a real open-mindedness to how we write our songs and how we sort of decorate the music,